Welcome to Entrepreneurial Insights, a podcast brought to you by the Society of Entrepreneurs and hosted by Pearson Crutcher and Jay Healy. The Society of Entrepreneurs is a membership organization founded to promote entrepreneurship and provide education and resources to Memphis business owners.
In this podcast, we'll have a series of interviews with accomplished business owners and entrepreneurs in Memphis, Tennessee. There are so many great entrepreneurs in Memphis, and their stories need to be told.
Welcome to Entrepreneurial Insights.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning still. It is my pleasure to be here. I'm Mary McDonald, and as a board member for the Society of Entrepreneurs, I'm representing our Executive Director, Pearson Crutcher, who's not able to be with us today. She asked me to convey the sentiments of the SOE to you, and I am thrilled to be here as we, the Society of Entrepreneurs, and partner with the Small Business Council of the Memphis Chamber of Commerce, to embark on an exhilarating journey, the Masterclass Series. It's a partnership that promises to ignite possibilities and amplify success. Together, we're weaving a tapestry of opportunity, one that blends our collective wisdom, passion, and resources. Here's why this partnership is doing us a happy dance today, even if it's raining. Maybe a rain dance, huh? There's that. First of all, it's an educational powerhouse. Imagine a symphony where the SOE's expertise harmonizes with the Chamber's. We're creating a crescendo of knowledge, workshops, and seminars tailored to empower you. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the business pool, we've got your back. It's about business alchemy. Entrepreneurship isn't just about spreadsheets and elevator pitches. It's about turning dreams into reality. Our collaboration aims to infuse magic into every business plan, every startup pitch, and every late-night brainstorming session. It's about small business champions. Small businesses are the heartbeat of our community. They are the cozy coffee shops, the quirky boutiques, and the tech startups that dream big. With this partnership with the Chamber and the SOE, we're not just cheering from the sidelines. We're diving into the game. Let's celebrate the risk takers, the innovators, and the audacity to chase dreams. Entrepreneurship isn't just about profit margins. It's about shaping communities, creating jobs, and leaving footprints for future dreamers. By joining forces, we're saying, let's build something extraordinary together. I want to thank the SOE sponsors who work with us each month, Campfire Collective, I saw them here, eBiz Solutions, Junior Achievement, and V2 Media, who is taping this today. Now, to kick off our first masterclass is Susan Stepherson, our hostess for the event. And she, along with Chip Dudley, are the co-founders and co-chairmen of Independent Bank in Memphis, Tennessee. Established in 1998, Independent Bank now holds over $800 million in total assets and over $1 million in capital. And that was when I researched this, so maybe today is a lot more. Thank you. You see, I knew you had a good day yesterday. It is the second largest bank headquartered in Shelby County with 10 branches and 180 employees. Prior to starting Independent Bank, Susan Stepherson was the chairman, president, and CEO of Boatman's Bank of Tennessee. When named to this position in 1995, she was the first female chairman and CEO of a Tennessee bank. Based on their lifelong commitment to improving the communities where they live and work, both Susan and Chip have served and led numerous civic organizations in Tennessee and Arkansas. Susan is past president and board chair of a member of the executive and board of the New Memphis Institute, a past chair and member of the executive committee and board of the Women's Foundation for Greater Memphis, treasurer and trustee of historic Elmwood Cemetery, a member of the Baptist Women's Hospital Advisory Board, and a member of the St. Louis Federal Reserve Board, Arkansas, and is currently serving as the board chair of the Family Safety Center, as well as serving on the board of directors of the National Civil Rights Museum and a board member of the Society of Entrepreneurs. I don't know how she had time to come to this meeting, but thank you, Susan, for not only coming, but for being our first speaker in the master class and being our person to start asking the banker. Susan?
So we're going to kind of have a Q&A and just chit-chat for a minute. And most of the questions that I'll be asking today, some of you sent in, many of you sent these questions in. And I'm going to ask one off the cuff that you're not prepared for. Okay. So relationships. We're going to talk about the hard part of banking, but just talk a minute about establishing the relationship with a banker wherever they are and what it does for a small business. Please, ma'am.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say welcome to everybody. And I can't believe, for the record, I thought when they started closing the schools, we would have nobody here. But I want to just recognize the chamber showing out in force and my good friends for the bye. Thank you all for being here. You know, I'm very competitive. But I also want to say, I'm excited to have this conversation and happy to continue to overcome over and over again. Having a relationship with the people who are your partners in your business is critically important to your success. And I want to talk for a second. That's all of your partners. That's your accounting firm. As what your human rep says, it's your law firm. It's understanding the people who are going to advise you as you go along the journey. But as a banker, I want to say, I think it's really particularly important for you to have a real connection and relationship with a person who is helping you navigate the big challenges on the financial side of your business. And when I think about what we do, if bankers are often typecast as being not at all your good friend, they're with them, whereas they're not ever the heroes of the story. But I'd like to just say for a second that a good relationship with your bank, a good banking partner, is going to help you address the big challenges that you face as you look at opportunities. They're going to give you advice that you love. They're going to give you funny truth when they need to give you hard truth. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes that's the most important thing that you have. But if a banker is really doing their job for you in a relationship, they're going to know the things that are important about your business. They're going to know the things that are important about you. And they're going to know the things that are the great risks that you have and the great opportunities that you face. And they're going to help you make wise choices about that. And when I tell you, I've loved my customers.
A true chance to have something that matters, to do something that matters together. So for me, this whole piece of relationship, I want you to know, if you don't know the name of your banker, you ought to not know the name just of your financial institution, but you ought to know the name of your banker. And you ought to know how to get in touch with them when you need them. And you ought to know, and they ought to know how to get in touch with you when they need you. And that's the kind of authentic relationship that's particularly important to small businesses. Because let me just say again, small businesses are powering our entire economy. We provide the vast majority of new jobs in this country. We are doing incredible service work, incredible creation of new opportunity in every community where we are. But I want you to also remember that we are folks that live in a challenging space, because we're usually working hard with limited resources and limited tools, and you need to have people who are partners with you who can help you leverage those. And I could go on for that for an hour, but I'll stop.
No, but that's important. So for those of you out there, raise your hands if you know your banker's name. Goody. Thank you. Wherever. Good. Okay, so a bank doesn't just open a checking account and a savings account. What other types of accounts should, and most of you, all of you, raise your hands if you're in the service business. Perfect. Retail? Okay. So primarily service. What types of accounts do you and other banks offer for the service businesses? Thank you.
Okay, first of all, financial institutions have a variety of accounts. And I'm going to tell you, the first thing that you need to know is when you're going to have a conversation with your banker about what you need to understand how you use your financial institution. You need to be a part of this process when you have the conversation. Banks have all kinds of checking accounts for small businesses. Those checking accounts should ask the question, how many checks do you process? How many receipts do you have in a month? What are the critical pieces of your relationship that you need to make sure that you're handling with your account relationship? So one of the things I would say to you, first of all, as you look at all the different types, we have accounts that are flat fee accounts. We have accounts that give you an opportunity to link together various types of services. We have accounts that allow you the opportunity to connect accounting pieces to your from your business. We have the ability to do a wide variety of things, but much of the answer to the question really comes down to, Dottie, what do you need? What do you need? So when you come in to have a conversation with your financial institution, start with the foundation that you need to know what it is you do with your bank account, how you use it. I do want to tell you there are two different things that you should always be considering, though. One account, your operating account, is going to be determined by activity. But I always recommend that you also explore having a business savings or a business money market account so that you have a chance to segregate your funds so that you have both an account that is daily ins and outs, activity happens in that account. But if you have the ability to do so, set aside funds that literally create some separation for you, create a savings, a nest egg for you, but also can give you an opportunity or an advantage to take advantage of interest rates on those accounts. So think about those things as you're making those decisions. But in terms of we could spend, and all financial institutions have great products and services for small businesses. It's a huge part of our economy, and we all are smart enough to know that we need to do that. But what I always tell people is start with, here's how I use my bank. Here's what I am doing, so that the connection that you make will be between the appropriate account, the appropriate product or service that's available to you through your financial institution.
Thank you. And all of us who own our small businesses, we started probably with a wing and a prayer and something from our savings account. So the dangers of not separating personal accounts from business accounts in the beginning.
I'm going to tell you, our lives, small businesses, and by the way, I'm an entrepreneur. I have started a business. I understand in ways that you probably can't even imagine for a banker what it means to have your personal resources invested and at risk. But one of the things that small business people tend to do is that we tend to literally, because I started this business out of the back of my car or in the corner office or at the cheapest place I could afford with my personal resources, we tend to not be thoughtful about separating from our personal finances from our business finances. And I want to just say to you, the reason that I'm first of all, Dottie, I love the question. But the thing I want you to understand and remind yourself of often is that you'll tend to exhaust resources that are personal if you're not disciplined about the separation between the two. And I want you to all think about the fact that you still have as your personal business, and you may well want to regularly have those accounts linked and make regular transfers from your personal account into your business account, because that's how it works as you get started. But what you don't want to do is do that without consciously making that decision. It's a very important thing to think about understanding what your business is actually doing. And when you think about what happens with your business when you first get started, your energy and your emotional investment is so high that it's often obscuring your financial investment. And so what I love for you to do is if you separate the two things, if you have, here's my personal account and here's my small business account, the power of that is that you're making a choice each time you make that decision. I promise you all that I literally cashed in my 401k, mortgaged my house, did everything I could to make my investment in my business. And I understand that's who we are as entrepreneurs and small business people. But you want to be doing that with an understanding, a conscious decision at each tipping point, so that it's not somehow you look up one day and you realize I've suddenly drained my entire savings account, backup account, my next egg account, because I wasn't choosing each time that I made those decisions. So
that's a sticky wicket that we step in. And I can remember when I first started my business, my banker said to me after about a year, you need to get a loan. And I went, I don't need a loan. I don't want a loan. I'm running this thing fine. I got enough cash. I don't want a loan. And I had good credit. But let's talk about business credit, personal credit, and why a loan is good.
We think loans are really good. That's no surprise. First of all, I want to start with a question of the way that you make a decision about loans for your business. You have to understand, what is the purpose of the money that I'm going to take out in a loan? What am I going to do with this money? And sometimes you're going to make a decision because you're going to be making an investment in infrastructure or in a resource that you need. In the service business, very frequently the investments you make are in equipment, or in office space, or in people and the communications. But what I want you to understand about that process, and it's very good to be thoughtful about it, Dottie, I'm glad that it makes you nervous when you think about it, is you understand, take a look before you ever ask anyone else about a loan, take a look at what you expect to produce to service your loan, so that you understand that my cash flow from my business is adequate to support the loan that I need to make this happen. The other thing you have to make certain about is that you understand the different types of loans. And very frequently, small business people take out personal loans to finance their business. And that's very, again, home equity line myself. I understand. We've all done it. Having done that, though, what I say to you over and over again is to have the expectation that I understand what kind of loan I'm making and what horizon it happens over. I tell people all the time, there are long-term investments that you make, that it's frequently a good decision to make a term loan on a long-term investment, have a set payment over time, and know that you're going to complete that process. There's some types of loans that you make where you may want to have the ability to go at a line of credit, allows you to go in and out of the line of credit, pay interest only very frequently, which is very attractive for a small business who may be at that point where it's very difficult to imagine amortizing a loan quickly over time. But I want you to always remember that even when you have a line, a business line most frequently requires you to rest that line of credit for some period of time during a course of a year. And it also has an annual renewal. So that you have to think, as you think about all of those different types of loans that you may be considering, you definitely want to be in a position where you understand how it's going to impact your operation and what you're going to benefit, how you're going to benefit from the investment. But I do want to go back to that idea. It's very frequently people are reluctant to take out a loan because they don't want to, they have that fear of the specter of debt and what that does to you. And that's wise to be conservative. I honor and appreciate that. But you also have to remember that if that loan is going to allow you to leverage your position and accelerate your performance and enhance your growth and reach new customers and provide a new or better service, then it's not a loan as much as it is an investment in your business. So don't fear it, but have a good relationship so that there's frequently times when you have to have somebody who looks you in the eye and tells you, I can make this loan because I'm going to secure it in a way that protects me as the financial institution, but it may not be the best thing for you. And you want to have that kind of authentic and honest relationship with the person that you're talking to about your loan.
And businesses change, and having to go back every year and show your financials. So you brought up cash flow. I think the hardest thing for a small business, especially when we're starting up, and for many businesses it doesn't hit them till they've been in business for 5 or 10 years, which is a little late, is to understand their financials. And how often we should review them. What are the metrics we should look for? What does your banker look at in your financials?
Well, hopefully, let me just start about having this thought of how frequently you produce and review your financials. Everybody that I work with knows I have a report every morning on my computer that tells me where we are daily. So the answer is, people are always overjoyed to get a message from me at about 7:15 in the morning, because that's when they open those up. Because there's certain things that there's value in looking at all the time and regularly. What I do tell people, though, my firm belief is that every month there ought to be a stop sign at the end of your month where you literally take stock of where I am and what I've done. For many people, it may be, there's certainly, for me, the importance of looking daily is to understand how cash is flowing in and out of our organization, how we are, what are the things that we need to be thinking of doing from a growth and funding perspective, what are the things we need to be doing to support our mission within our community. But what I will tell you is that you have those same high points in all of your businesses. There are things that you look at that are related to your financials. You may want to look at them every day. If you have good systems, it's probably not a bad idea to look at them every week. But I will tell you, don't ever go longer than a month. Don't ever go longer than a month, because days slip by and suddenly you look down and you think, when did that happen? Like, it's a powerful tool to do that. As you look at your financials, you are always going to know what are the most important things in your financial world. That's really important for you to own. What your banker is always going to look at are the things that you mutually agree are important, but we're also going to be looking at how are you managing trends in your business? How are you managing volatility in your business? How are you managing the volume of activity in your business? Is it clear that you're thinking about how the different pieces of your business fit together? Is it clear that you're understanding? Greatest gift I could give to all of you, all as small business people, is when you're providing a service for someone and you send them a bill, making sure that they're being prompt in their response within the terms that you've agreed to get paid. Because what we very frequently do in small businesses is we do all the work for somebody, and then we realize however many days later that you did all the work and you've not yet been paid. And the importance of that is you just became an investor in their business. Congratulations. But what you're not getting the benefit of then is the power of having that money come back into your coffers so that you can do the things you need to do. So look at your business in a way that understands what are the big pressure points for you, but also look at your business in a way that understands, I see trends over time, I see what's happening, I'm aware of how my business is changing and growing.
Thank you. And I think a lot of the trap that we fall into as small businesses, when we look at our sales. Look at our top line. And then the two things we forget is the bottom and cash flow. And those are the metrics I think that you as bankers look at is how we're managing that.
Out of business. I tell people that it is
Literally, sorry. People do grow themselves out of business. It's one of those powerful things. Dottie just mentioned it. When you've got momentum and you're starting to see sales and you're having that affirmation that you were right, that you're really fabulous. You knew it, but now somebody else thinks so. It's so tempting to get caught in the top line, that sales line. But remember, there's always an expense associated with that sale. And the margin that you have as you create it, you have to be mindful. Have I priced myself appropriately? Am I being recognized? I'm fabulous. Have I been paid for my fabulousness? Is that a word? I'm not sure. It is. At any rate, what I would just say again is that temptation to be enthusiastic and excited about success is there. But remember that the connection between I've had a sale, I've been affirmed, I'm growing my customer base. Am I growing my customer base profitably? Am I being paid for what I need to do? And is there the right mix for me to support what I need to do to be successful as a small business person?
So you walked right into the next question, and it has to do with the metrics that we look at when we're planning to grow our business. And that gets tied into, I know there are loans that are available. Say me, who suddenly picks up a contract and I need 60 people to add to my payroll. That's a different, but do I take a look at a loan? When's the point that, from a banker standpoint, you may come to your client and say, you need to take on an investor? Metrics, investors, loans.
Yes, that's a big.
There are about 7 questions in that question. So I'm going to unpack it and start with, when is it time to take on a loan to invest? And that is really, truly a matter of sitting down and saying, in Dottie's case, the perfect example, I have a contract to provide 60 employees for a business for 6 months, 3 years, for 3 years. In the course of that time, first of all, I have to do a couple of things. I have to understand from the moment that I hire my employees, I have to begin to pay them. They're not going to come back if you tell them checks in the mail. Don't you worry. They're requiring a payment. The timing of your receipt from your business may drive you to a place where I need either a short-term loan through a line of credit to finance that uneven. My expense came before my revenue came. You may have to take a look at that. So that's one piece of the thing you do. But every time you are given an opportunity, there is a moment where you need to sit down and think about the metrics behind that opportunity. There is a moment where you say, here's my revenue top line. Here's the cost of providing that service. Here is the net profit that I will make. And then the recognition over what period of time will I make that profit? And when will the expenses be incurred and when will the revenue be received? And that's a reason that you can look at making, having a line of credit, or in the case of, for example, I'll use the example of a customer of ours who is in a trucking business. They had a chance to add on a big new relationship, but it required them to have trucks because in order to move the product that they were being given a chance to move, they had to have real equipment to do that. And they literally did a comparison and said, I'm going to purchase this truck. It has a life. Here's how much I'm going to use it. Here's how much depreciation I'm going to experience. Here's the life of that piece of equipment. Here's the revenue source that I'm going to have guaranteed for X period of time. Here are the metrics in that transaction that make it make sense for me to make a loan of this amount over this period of time. So you literally have choices that you need to evaluate each of those growth opportunities from a financial perspective. And it's enormously tempting to have a big contract. It's enormously tempting to have a big contract. But it's also incredibly important to have clarity about what the cost you will incur will be and what the benefits you will gain, and at the end of the day, what the return will be on the investment that you make. Now, I want to say for a moment about investors, because I want to be clear about something. Banks are not financial investors. We love you guys, but we are highly regulated, and we are not venture capital sources. So there may be times when you have great opportunity, and the right solution for you may be to have an investor partner. But I want to say to you, always remember the trade-off that you have as a small business person, because investors, even passive investors, and I've never met the passive investor ever. They say they're just going to give you their money and they're not going to talk to you or bother you, and you're never going to hear from them at all, but they're lying to you, I promise. Most frequently. I shouldn't say that. But you have to understand what the investor's expectation is going to be, because they are doing this with an expectation they have a return. Make sure, because of that, and that was the unpacked question there. Pick your investors very carefully. Pick your partners very carefully. Be especially thoughtful about the people you love most in your life, your family members, your close friends. They can be the very best of investors for you, and they can be the most complicated of investors for you, because your lives are already intertwined, and suddenly your lives are intertwined, and what happened to that money that I gave you in June of last year? And I thought we were going to have a return over this period of time. So I would just say be thoughtful about your investors, and then also communicate with your investors all the time. Make sure that you make an effort to give them the information that will give them both a sense of both you've been accountable, but they'll also give them a real confidence about what you're doing and how you're doing it, because they have, in fact, given you a resource to make you more successful, and part of your requirement in doing that is to be the kind of partner that looks at them and says, we were on track in January, we had a tough February, March is great, here's how the numbers look, this is the timeline that we had originally, this is where we're headed now. It's so much nicer if you call them than if they call you, because then they feel that you are respectful of what they've been doing and how they're doing it. And I also will tell you that it's always nice with your financial institution when there are things going on in your business. Everybody wants to be helpful and supportive, but if you say, hey, I've got this, I had one of my key producers had to have surgery and they're out, and so I'm going to be off track for X number of days, and I just want you to know that, and I have a plan, and here's my plan for how we're going to get back on track. But the point is, the more committed you are and the more effective you are in sharing your status reports, the more confidence that they will have in you, and the more willing they will be to help you ride through the tough times. And there are, by the way, going to be moments where everything does not go exactly the way you planned. Or if y'all have not experienced that, please come see me. Tell me how to do it. Yeah, really.
Oh, that'd be lovely. All right, so I'm asking questions now that came from some of you and from the larger Small Business Council audience. But in about 15 minutes, it's going to open the floor for your questions. And for those of you who don't have questions, I know who to call on. Okay, so this is kind of fun. You brought it up, regulatory. Things have changed in the banking industry. and what you can do, what you should do, and what you no cannot do for us and for small businesses. And it's changed the way that those relationships have evolved. Would you like to step into that one?
Just for a minute, I want to step back and say many things change all the time from a regulatory perspective, and all of you probably experience that in your own businesses as well. But I do want to just explain something to you, because people don't always understand particular things that have happened in the financial industry. But immediately after 9/11, two things happened to the financial services industry. The first thing that happened was we were given a charge that said we must know our customers, and it wasn't, I know Samir. He works with me. I know exactly who he is. I know where he lives. I know his mother. But the point is, he comes in to open an account with me now, and I have to produce certain paperwork to open that account, not because I don't know who Samir is, but because I'm required by law to have checked certain things off to make sure that we are not empowering someone who intends us harm. This know your customer really became very critically important because, quite frankly, before 9/11, there were plenty of people who were bad actors, who were opening accounts under various names, who were parking money in places that they shouldn't be, and they were funding nefarious activities for the harm of us. So there's a thing called know your customer that is not I did not make it up. I did not volunteer for it. I did not run into the breach and say, here's an idea. Let's have a stack of paper everybody has to fill out. But be that as it may, there is a stack of paper that everybody has to fill out. And so that's a piece of the regulatory world. The second thing that happens that's always really funny is anti-money laundering activities, which is also related to what's happening, people who are doing bad things and what they may do. And it's really frustrating for small businesses sometimes because you very frequently have high consumption of cash, or you have a reason to have your people pay you and you gather money, not because it's your favorite thing in the world to do, because you're trying to figure out how you're going to be, safely store and keep it, but then you're going to come deposit it. And suddenly you bring in a certain amount of money and you're being asked by your financial institution to explain where you got the money. It's kind of like, my customers paid me, and this is a good thing, and why are we talking about this right now? But the answer is, it's because they're trying to make sure the gatekeepers of our government are trying to make sure that people are not doing bad things. The other place that this is particularly, it's not just terrorists, it's frankly drug cartels and people who are in organized bad behavior. I guess I'm not supposed to say the word about organized bad behavior people. All of those sources are places where you can have risk. And so there's a lot so we have been put as a financial institution in a position where we are like your, I guess we're the hall monitor. And so there is no joy in being the hall monitor.
So you're FDIC insured? Yes. Okay. So if anybody is in the room, you don't have to raise your hand, but it's becoming a problem across the country, and that's for legal marijuana. Marijuana is still a federally banned substance, which means if you happen to have a marijuana farm in a legal state, what can you do with your money?
Yep.
No message.
Well, I'm so excited to tell y'all that we've looked at this as a financial institution, mostly because there are plenty of, neighbor states, both Mississippi and Arkansas, have legal medical marijuana. And we are in a position where we would love to be able to take the banking resources of people who are working hard to take care of those persons who need medical marijuana, or who they are people they are serving. And we are exploring, there's actually a coalition of financial institutions who have gone to try to change regulatory rules. But as it stands today, we really are trying. And for the record, we believe that the problem that we have right now with the financial industry, if you are licensed across state lines and hence federally regulated, you really are risking all kinds of regulatory consequence by doing it. But I would tell you now that we've asked the question, we believe very strongly that unless the financial services industry finds the way to serve people who are doing business in an absolute compliance with every law that's out there, and they need to have a reasonable expectation that a financial institution can and will be able to take care of them so that they may take care of the people that they're taking care of. So we're literally working with a company that is a consultant in this space, and I would love to be able to tell you in the near term that that we're going to be reaching out to people who are in that space.
That's a sticky one. It is. That's the one of those crazy regulations. There are. Thank you, Patricia. Tickle here. So on the opposite end of, thank you, ma'am. Oh, this part. On the opposite end of that, there are other fun FDIC regulations. So I don't know if any of you have this problem. I never have. But if you happen to have over $250,000 in your checking account or savings account, what should you do with it?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to tell you that we have financial institutions very frequently have more people who have higher balances than $250,000. There are many people whose regular operating requirements put them in a position where they need certainly a higher balance than that. There are two things you should always do. You should be confident that your financial institution is stable and safe. So you should do a financial inspection of your financial institution in the same way that your financial institution does an inspection of you. And there are many ways to do that, resources that are available to you that are out there just to let you know. But bank performance over time is the greatest protection, I will tell you. Although there are also other alternatives, and I would just mention to you that for people who have over $250,000 but want to have additional FDIC insurance, we offer a program that is called Cedars, which allows us to create your money. You deposit your money here, but your money is insured through a relationship with other financial institutions all across the country, so that we can insure an unlimited amount of money through a program that is called Cedars. I will tell you again, the two-way street that you need to think about is that for the vast majority of time, financial institutions have been strong and stable. And the notable exceptions that happen, I will tell you, they're always the highly publicized and very inflammatory. And last year in the spring of the year, we had Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic Bank, who all failed. And that created great pressure on people's concerns about financial institutions' stability. Well, I will tell you, there are nearly 5,000 financial institutions in the United States of America. Those three people did not behave responsibly with regard to their balance sheets, and they put their customers at risk. But all of the people who were depositors in those three institutions ended up being fully covered in the process. So even in the case of bad actors, you're typically covered. So, but there's lots of ways to handle it.
So we know that's always, let's talk. Everybody got your phone with you? How many of you got your banking app on your phone? Here we go. Apps. So technology, critical. Kind of new for the banking industry. Sort of. So for those of us in small businesses, we run our QuickBooks on it. We run our Quicken on it. We run our payroll on it. I want to make a deposit to my bank. Best practices, how has it changed the banking industry?
How has it changed the banking industry? Well, first thing I want to tell you is that most financial institutions have adapted over the last decade and have very robust alternatives for online services of every kind. I don't think most of the members of my family don't come into a financial institution anymore. They take a picture of their check and deposit it remotely. So technology has evolved, and we're all in a position where we can literally do many things, and through a variety. Everybody has a bank in their hand with their telephone, literally a financial institution at the ready. One of the things I will tell you, though, is you want to make sure that you are doing a couple of things to protect yourself and your resources in that process. And you also want to make sure that you are taking advantage of the tools that are available to you for digital technology. We can integrate your QuickBooks into your account. We can take advantage of all those connections through our products. So you still want to have a relationship. Please don't let your phone be your best friend with your banker. You still want to have it, but you want to leverage it. And I will tell you that I do believe that technology is powerful. It makes you smarter, better, and more effective. And it allows you to do things all hours of the day and night. But always remember that you want to make certain that you're protecting yourself and your technology. Please don't give your password to everyone you know. Please don't give your password to anybody that you don't really trust. And please be thoughtful about the way that you look at your account, because once you're in the position where you're using the digital technology, you want to be more frequent and more aggressive in the way that you manage your resources to make sure you're doing it the right way. But I think it's a great tool. By the way, I'm not a Luddite, though near so, and that would be, by the way, people who don't embrace technology. Actually, who don't embrace all things that accelerate your improvement. But I will say that I couldn't live without my digital technology, the ability to both transfer money on my phone, but also the ability to check a balance and to see if a payment is cleared, and to be thoughtful about the activity that's happening on my account. I look at it every day.
Questions from the audience? Somebody raise your hand, or I'm going to take a mic and just...
Thank you, Dottie. No. But sometimes when for startups, or sometimes they think it might be too soon to start that relationship with their banker, what advice would you give startups and those who are in early stage of their business?
But I would tell you this. I think you ought to have your first conversation with your potential financial partner at the very beginning. Even before you're ready, you may not be ready to act, Gwen, on exactly what you're doing. But the sooner you have a conversation with them, the sooner you have started a relationship, the better decisions you'll make. You're going to be in a position where you can say, you may offer an idea, and your banker may have an idea that will be both faster, better, safer, and more effective for you. So I'm an advocate that one of the very first things you should do, you should talk to your accountant, you should talk to your attorney, and you should talk to your banker. And you should have a conversation where you recognize whether you're a good fit for each other too. Because the other thing that happens is you want to find someone that you feel, I got it. They got me, I got them. It's going to be a good relationship for us to have with each other. So I think I advocate start the process at the very, very beginning. And the more, because I'm going to be invested in your business too. I'm going to be excited and invested in your business. And they'll frequently be a source of potential partners and customers, a referral source for you, a partner. And that's one of the things I will say this to y'all as small businesses. Please lift each other up where you have the opportunity to do it. It's a tough world out there. All of us are fighting the battles to do it. But you can contribute your social equity to someone else. Your relationships, your experience, your ability to help other people be more successful is a huge thing, and it really does matter in business. And I promise you, when you cast out good vibes for others, they come back to you. So I say that be a partner be a partner that is an advocate for people, be a cheerleader for people, and then you're going to find that there'll be that same thing in return for you.
So, Kazukian, we're in the content business, and artificial intelligence has really impacted our industry. I'm curious, as the banking and financial industry, how has artificial intelligence impacted your business today? And what do you foresee going forward, the impact or the improvement that it will have as far as the financial institutions?
I want to be really clear about, we are in the infancy in the financial services sector in artificial intelligence, but we are already starting to use artificial intelligence to track trends or to see aberrant behavior or to find, I may look at something through artificial intelligence. We may be able to look at a transaction that is not a normal transaction for you. We may be able to take advantage of seeing departures in behavior or other things that are going to be powerful for you to understand or see in advance. I think the thing about artificial intelligence, that there's so many unanswered questions, because literally today, one of the risks of artificial intelligence is this. I don't know if you've seen this, but there was literally a moment where recently on one of the news magazines where they took, let's just all agree that I do not sound like a British 20-year-old, but they literally took a microphone and put it in front of a person who has an accent just like mine, and they made my voice sound exactly like Princess Kate from Great Britain. So that literally, it was uncannily effective. And so the real thing that, while we're navigating all the things that are possible, we have to understand the risk of the things that are possible as well. There are many folks out there whose business, service industry business is fraud. And those folks are already finding ways to leverage artificial intelligence, to take advantage of the ability that you have using AI to move money, to attack institutions, to do things that are not for the greater good. So we have to simultaneously adapt to the benefits that artificial intelligence can create, and there's power in it. There's no question, to contemplate how quickly you can get answers to questions and how profoundly it may advance humankind. Artificial intelligence is we're building literally in our own community the largest supercomputer that's ever been built for XAI, and it is literally going to start to power self-driven cars and to make sure that SpaceX stays on track and to do all of those really wonderful things. But we also have to be cautious about the downside, which is that we are on uncharted waters. And when I say that, I used to always think about this. It's one thing to not have a sense. We don't know where AI will take us. We don't even know the capacity that AI has to take us to places we've never been. And so I think we have to be, we are already having consultants come talk to us about AI. And we're going to be committed to trying to leverage the great power of it in a way that is useful to the people that we serve. But we're also going to be thoughtful about making sure that we don't create unintended consequence in the process. And by the way, last night I was on ChatGPT and I said, I want a picture of this dog riding a bicycle in my driveway, and it gave it to me. It's kind of crazy.
So I actually have two questions. You can answer both or one of them. First one came from your conversation earlier. What are things that businesses that are just starting out can do to actually build up the business credit score? It feels like it's pretty straightforward with personal finances, but with business, it's kind of different. So I'll just stop at that. Yeah, well, the other one was, as he asked about artificial intelligence, I thought about cyber attacks. Like there's been just so much happening in this space. Just any thoughts on that? Any advice you might give us?
Let me take the first question, which is, at this moment, I probably, I'm not sure that when you are mapping what's going to happen next in your life and your world, none of us have perfect clarity about where we're headed, what we're doing. But if I'm thoughtful and if I'm on top of it, whatever it may be, then you're going to be rolling out the decisions in a way that will that will create an opportunity for you to get better business credit score. Because I'm going to say better business credit score starts with behaviorally all the things that drive your personal business credit score. Paying your bills on time, having a balance sheet that creates credibility for you, developing equity in your business. But the decisions that you're making to get a business score really are, first of all, business scores are done in about 500 different ways, depending on the person that's doing the business score. And I don't think that they're always particularly effective or accurate. I'm going to just offer that as a person who looks at those scores and kind of is puzzled occasionally by how did they get to this conclusion. But let's just start with the idea that what you control in your business is what's going to drive your personal credit scores and your business credit scores. So what are the things you control? You can control behaving in a way where all of your vendors see you as complying with the terms that you were provided. You control being able to have a good rating with the Better Business Bureau by doing the things that you have your customers approve of the way that you've interacted with them, and you've done the things that they give you a good review and that you don't have adverse information online, because that will in fact play into the score. There are certain things that build your score on a business basis that are things that are like if you have a business loan and you perform on your business loan, you build credit. It's sort of like your personal deal. The first time you ever you had no credit score until you got your first car loan or you got your first credit card. So there are certain things that you do that become reportable, that become part of your building a business score. But what I would say to you all the time is if you take apart the score that is out there on their business intelligence platforms that try to go out and scrape information, and they scrape it from every conceivable source that you can imagine, including your personal scores. So never think, even if you're unbundling your personal finances from your business finances, that those things are not going to find a way to be connected together, because a business score is going to search principles of the business as well as searching for the business performance over time. But what I would say to you is that control the things you can control, perform in the way that you've agreed to perform. If you have a relationship with a vendor, perform the way that you have agreed. If you perform for your customers, they're going to score you at a higher level. And then finally, the relationship you have with your financial institution. Do you have overdrafts? Do you handle your account as agreed? So most of the things that we're talking about are, again, things that are totally the same behavior that you would have to build a strong personal financial score is the same kind of behavior you need to have in your business to build that kind of a score. So second question was cybersecurity. And this is one where we have a seminar coming up on cybersecurity. It is a perennial problem issue, but I'm going to say a couple of things. First of all, do not go long periods of time without looking at your bank account, any of your relationships, to see if there's anything that you see. Periodically look at your personal credit score to see if someone has attempted to take out credit in your name. Make sure that you are guarding the information that you make available about yourself in every way possible. I have to, there are certain things you can look for online. When you're online making a business transaction or a personal transaction, there are certain keys that will show you that this is a secured site that is doing everything they can to prevent the risk of a cyber attack having an impact on you and your information and your credit. I'll be honest with you. When I talk about cybersecurity, I tell people all the time we're always conscious of our financial account and our other tangible information or our tangible assets, but information may be the most important thing to protect when you're protect from a cybersecurity standpoint. Make sure, though, that you have a partnership with everybody that you do business with, including your financial institution or maybe especially your financial institution, that allows you to have cues to look for things that are in your relationship that are unexpected or shouldn't have happened. We have multi-factor authentication. It is such a pain to have to go through, and I apologize, but it's done for your protection. It really is done for your protection. Change your passwords. Please don't write your password words down underneath the blotter on your desk, because every single person who's ever going to steal something from you knows exactly where to look for that. And that's the first place they go. They literally go under the blotter on your desk. So you have to be thoughtful about the things the changing your passwords, the multi-factor authentication, making sure that you again, there are advantages. Sometimes I say this is that the larger an institution is, the more difficult it is for them to have lots of double checking behind things. So I would just say to you, think about the relationship you have with everybody, particularly your financial institution, from the lens of what are they doing and how do they manage this, and ask the question so that you can protect yourself. I do think that the great risks that we have for most of us are we have so much information that's housed in a detailed place that has your name, your address, your social security number, your birthday, your grandmother's maiden name, your mother's maiden name, all those things. Just be really careful about trying to make sure that you periodically check on your information, check your credit report, and check in with relationships, but don't ever go long periods of time without looking at your accounts in your financial institution particularly.
I just wanted to add, and this happens all the time, that these fraudsters have the ability to spoof any phone number that they want. And so you could be receiving a call that pops up as Independent Bank, and they say, I'm so-and-so at the whatever branch, and we've detected fraud on your account. Can you please confirm your account number? No bank is ever going to call you and ask you to give them your social security number, your account number, or anything like that. So if you ever get a call and you're not sure, just hang up and call back. Not the number that called you, but just call your bank and say, I just got this call, because this is we're seeing this a lot. And so if you're ever unsure, don't feel bad. Just say, I'm going to call you right back. And, because, we've had people call us, when they've got, somebody on the cell phone, they call us from their landline. They're like, I'm on the phone right now with Nancy from Independent Bank. And we're like, we don't have a Nancy, So anyway, I just wanted to add that. And also, when your computer tells you it's time to shut down and update, please do that. I know if you're like me, you have 5,000 tabs open and you don't want to do it, but you need to, because those updates are for your protection.
Hi, I am Tamika Turner. I'm the owner of the Institute of Beauty. We are Tennessee's first natural hair school. And so for me, education is like, I sell education. So I'm thinking of it from a retail standpoint, and especially because we're a private institution. So my question is, how can we as an educational institution establish and maintain a relationship with our bank, and to teach the financial literacy piece to our students, because we have a lot of students that just come in with a skill and not really the soft skills and the life skills, and especially when it comes down to their money, and in our industry, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry and it's just cash in hand. So how can we have that relationship?
That is starting to have the relationship with your financial institution. You're providing a service. It's a soft service, but you're still providing a service, and you're generating income from that. So sit down with someone right away and explain to them how you do business, what your needs are from your financial institution, and they're going to be a partner with you in helping you think about how you leverage your resources, how you take advantage of opportunity. They're going to create that possibility for you. So I would say, first of all, lots of service sector businesses do business with financial institutions, and lots of folks who are in the soft educational space, everything from folks who have schools to folks who are tutors to people who are providing educational resources for people. Their ways, there's a map. We can find a way to make that work. What I would say to you about your folks that you're educating right now, particularly, that is there are some risk, and I particularly get anxious about this because I have a good young friend who is in your industry and who generates an incredible amount of cash from her business and from her customers, but keeps it under her bed or in her trunk of her car. Anyway, one of the things that it's very difficult to help people who have not had relationships with financial institutions feel good about having relationships. So one of the things I would say is invite your banker to come be a partner with you. There are lots of educational things that are done around our community to help people understand how to take advantage of a financial institution and what they have to offer, to protect them, to help them see ways to be able to advance their progress, to accelerate their progress. So that's something that as a partnership you can do. And I can give you a list right now. There are several financial education pieces that are being done right now, particularly through lots of sources. And I will say lots of great sources for people so that you have a chance to make sure that everyone understands the safety that's associated with making sure that you get your money into a safe place and you're not at risk and your money is not at risk, but also that helps you understand how you can build a personal credit and be able to do some things that you want to do, whether it's investing in your business or investing in your personal life. And those things are available, and I can get you lists, but you can also have, most of the time, if you ask your banker to help you find a way to do something like that, they'll help you connect you to the resources to do that. Always. Because there's great advantage for all of us if we all understand what we can do, how we can be better stewards of the financial resources that we're given, and how it can make your life, how it can create generational opportunity. So we would love to, all financial institutions, including our institution, would love to help.
Thank you. A personal thank you to Susan. This has been wonderful. I'm going to turn it over to Patricia, but Susan mentioned something about getting to know each other in our small businesses. So while you're sitting there, before you get up, get your business cards out. Take your time. We don't have to leave for another 10 or 15 minutes. Introduce yourself to someone you've never met before. Patricia, it's all yours. And be safe out there.